Can we do it?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vibration, where we empower individuals to speak their distinct truth, passion, and personal message on a global stage. I'm your host, Michelle McDonald, passionate author, speaker, and entrepreneur.
So,
And today we have a guest that has really touched on various aspects of our theme, celebrating the creatives and arts of the Bahamas. Jay, welcome to the stage.
thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, for those who may not know you, tell us a bit more about yourself.
It's always the uncomfortable part. But my name is Jeremie J. Johnson. I am a lot of things. Actor, writer, director. We could say photographer and some people surprise. And just an all-around doer of things, I would say.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Sounds like a really good lineup of things that you do.
Got a little mixture.
So the Dundas is the home of many theater greats. Either persons have gone through the journey of being there, or that's where they first started off. I know for you, that is a part of your story. Can you talk about what that meant to you?
Okay, so for me to talk about the Dundas, I got to go back to my first time there, probably in 2019. I got invited to say audition for Short Tales. For those who might not know, Short Tales is a play comprised of like 10 smaller Bahamian and just Caribbean plays. So I got there and I saw a lot of people there, and I just was nervous, super nervous, to the point where I said, you know what? Sign me up just to be a stagehand. Like, let me open the curtains, close the curtains. I can't do this. And I was in about the audition, but I built up the courage to audition, and then got a call back.
Nice.
And then when I got a call back, we was in the WVS, or the Winston V. Saunders theater out front. And they was like, okay, for this role, we need you to be dramatic. And it was everything in the Dundas hole, but I was in this old steel chair, and I was end up being dramatic, and I broke the chair.
Oh, no.
And I remember getting off the stage like, yeah, they ain't gonna never call me back. Matter of fact, they would make me pay for this chair when I just break. But all in all, I ended up getting casted and made my Dundas debut. I was acting for a little while. I was Peter 3 years in a row.
Okay.
I do not know the man and all that. So that's where I got it started, and just kept going from there, like continuing to come out, audition, volunteer, and just really hone the craft like that.
So from what you're saying, it sounds like the Dundas provided a bit of a community for you, that even though you felt nervous at first, it provided you a space to feel like this is something you can do. You can be a creative.
Yeah, I would say the minute I got there, it was nerve-wracking at first, because you see a lot of people talk about their experiences or what's not. So you feel like, okay, yeah, I just reached. But as soon as you get in, it's open arms. Everybody is welcome. You get to engage. Most of the OGs are the persons that have been there a long time, usually willing to talk, give you tips, pointers. It's always a good vibes. And then you see legends, like certain legends or persons who in our culture we consider legends, because now you see Kenny Rigby walk through, you see Chakwe Ali walk through, you see a Leslie Ellis Times walk through. These would be people that been acting for so long that they're like, you still as an actor. But they always willing to come through and just encourage you or what's not. And it's never in a condescending way, but it's always, hey, you doing good, and do this. And the way, I don't know if other creatives or artistic disciplines have that, but the way actors do it, actors have a way of being serious, but being playful at the same time. So like, you might get corrected while someone else in character or something like that. And it always just helps ease in that correction, and then just make you feel more comfortable.
Okay, I really like how you mentioned like the different generations and maybe some names that a lot of the youth may not know, but they're still out here representing their acting talent. Do you think it's important to be able to see that, to kind of understand where acting came from when it comes to our culture and our history, and also where it's going?
Yeah, I think it's very important, because a lot of times we don't know what's been happening before us. Like we hear certain things, like certain playwrights, James Catlin and friends, things like that. So you hear about like the olden days,
Yeah.
but when you get involved, it's always good to have those legends walk past. Like I was in a play called The Landlord, and I posted that on Facebook, and to my surprise, one of my Facebook friends was in that play probably about say 10 to 15 years ago.
Whoa,
So
what?
it's like that's crazy to know that like these things been going on for so long that they could come back and people could do that. I shout out to Mark Humes. Not sure when this airs, but Mark Humes used to be an actor. I'd say probably about 10 years ago. He entered politics, and now in 2025 he made his return. So it's always having that good that wealth of knowledge to come back, not only to educate um, middle-aged people, but younger people as well, just to show them that, hey, you might have not known that this been happening, but your dream been happening for a long period of times that it's something that could actually be achieved.
And I think too, it helps to show longevity, right? Because we kind of think like, okay, I've been in one or two plays. I think I'm pretty good, but I can't really like make it. People aren't really going to remember me. I can't make a name, but being able to see them and have persons of different ages being able to talk about them, it's like, okay, this can be real.
Yeah. The thing about that is they're like a lot of the older folks, pave the groundwork, whereas we have the knowledge and the technique where we could get that from them. And now that we see that at certain opportunities popping up, certain international productions like coming involved, certain just different performing arts schools and different opportunities come, now that we could see that, hey, I could take this, what they've been through, and I could keep going and run further with it. So now it's they're like, hey, before it only used to be this one small theater. I could take that knowledge that you got from that one small theater, put that into me, and now I could take my theater knowledge onto audition into international auditions or things like that, or programs outside of the Bahamas. So it's a lot of passing the baton and then knowing that, hey, we could run the longer race.
Yeah, and I think that's really important as well, because people talk a lot, but just being able to see it makes a really big difference.
True.
And so when we look at all of the things that you're doing, one of the things that you may not have mentioned, I think you did, was directing. And so last year, 2024, Short Tales, you directed a play, which is how we were able to work together. The play was called Not Just Frying Fritters. And it really spoke to the women's suffrage movement here in the Bahamas. Now, of course, with you being a male, I want to hear, what is it that inspired you to take that play on? Like, what did it mean for you to direct such a story?
Okay, so in the sake of transparency, that was not my first choice. I was actually late to the party when it comes to picking players. So that was actually my last choice. So when I got that, I was like, let me read to see what I could really do with this. And then reading through, it was more educational for me.
Okay.
Whereas, I didn't know all of this was happening. So now it got me engaged to the point like, okay, I could see that. And then I wanted it to really focus on the women, because at one point I had two males in it, and it made sense more so that one of the males be a woman, just to position it, whereas I have a woman advocating for more women. And directing for me was fun because there's certain intricacies that you put in there that or like Easter eggs that not everybody might see. And like you might see to the point where it was a part in the play when the ladies that passed or was not would go on this platform that kind of symbolized their passing, and now they would go on to greener pastures, hopefully heaven or what's not. So directing was fun in being the chef and not necessarily the egg in the recipe, but also having that privilege to really amplify the women. And we had a great cast.
Yes, he did.
I could take this time to give you your props again. I mean, we don't speak about this, but I appreciated you for making my job easier, because you came in ready to go, learn your lines. You was always on time, I would say, as far as showing up with the right energy and all that. And all that just made my job easier, whereas I didn't have to be a character or your character, because you got that. You took that criticism. You took any criticism, any corrections with poise, and I really appreciate you making my journey easy.
Thank you.
I think there was a time I'm not sure if you remember that one rehearsal where we didn't have that much person, so I had to like put on the
Yeah.
wig
Yes.
and like do it. Like I had to do a character, and every time I would do my woman voice, someone would crack.
Right.
So yeah, so it was challenging, but you were one of the ones that made it very easy for me. So I appreciate that. And that play just was it was very educational, not only to those that didn't know, but I feel like the listeners as well.
Yeah, and I really like too how there's this opportunity to showcase it to high school students.
Yeah,
And so they were really kind of wowed in being able to see this on stage and it's like, oh, this is real. And then I think too having characters that were from different islands was important because you know
yeah,
this whole like stigma that NASA is everything, but knowing that a big part of our history and our culture comes from other islands as well.
for sure.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it? Like,
The play?
especially being able to recreate such a powerful woman, or what's not? How do you feel about it?
I liked it because when I was in high school, I was not a fan of history. I liked geography and language and Spanish and art. So history to me just kind of felt it was like something you needed to know, but I felt like there wasn't enough Bahamian history for me to feel like I'm a part of what they're talking about. So I liked being able to have that experience, represent someone from a different island, not from Nassau. And I saw that the audience always responded to the character, like no matter what. And you know, every night is like a different audience, but they always responded to it with a sense of like pride and reverence. You know,
I feel like your character carried that, and then you always used to come out big. So it's like whims bite. So so it used to come out with that. Yeah. So that
behind trying to figure out like how to pronounce that word was crazy.
but yeah, that was fun.
But hey, one good thing is we were in the top 3 for Best Director, so shout out to you, and
Oh, I'll
Best
take that.
Cast for the Short Tales Awards in 2024. So yeah,
That's
you had a
it.
good
That's
mix.
it.
You had a good mix. So we're gonna get into our rapid fire,
Okay.
and I
Oh,
want
gee.
you to say the very first thing that comes to mind. All right? No wrong answers.
Until you say the wrong answer.
Favorite junk in the group.
The Valley Boys.
All right, you didn't even hesitate on that one.
All 2 of them.
Facts. Facts. Would you prefer to write, act, or direct?
I would want to write the play that I'm directing and then act in it.
You can't give me a combination. I'm going to take the first answer of that statement. All right. True or false? As a photographer, you see potential photos everywhere you go.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
I feel like you guys do that on the false, honestly.
Yeah, and then the way it works is that you wanna capture it. So like you might see something like just yesterday I had my friend like pull over because I saw a pretty tree and I needed to take a picture. So it definitely happens, yeah. So that's very true.
Okay. Thank you for that. So speaking on photography, it is a unique aspect of creativity. You're either born with it or you can invest in learning the skills to become the best photographer ever. Photos can be breathtaking and life-changing. What is it that inspired you to be a photographer? Or what does photography mean to you?
What inspired? I can't remember where it started. And what I've been realizing in my creative journey is that certain interests or certain things have always been there. It just needed that timing to unearth it. So back in 2009, my cell phone was actually a camera, whereas it legit was a camera. So it had like zoom or what's not.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that, okay, photography is the thing. I just like taking pictures. So I used to take pictures, and then the way my mind works at certain things, I could remember visually more so than words sometimes. So if I see you, I can remember. I don't forget faces, and I feel like that's been the seed to say, okay, you capture these visual things longer. And I feel like that's what really sparked the interest in it. And I just was taking pictures for myself. And funny enough, it was one done this event, probably Short Tales, and someone had a camera, and I just couldn't put it down. And Candy, shout out to Candy again. Candy said like, you should get into photography. Well, all of me don't do that because Candy don't sound like that. But Candy is there like, you should get into photography. And I was there like, Um, I don't know how to, but okay. And I just played with the idea. And I told my friend, like, I want to learn. He's a wedding photographer, so I would just like shadow them a little bit, and then I think I sent him an Amazon link for like a starter package.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I better get serious about this. Like, should this the camera I should buy? He said, like, come here. And he called me over and he gave me a camera. Like a camera, kit lens and a setup, and then go from there.
Nice.
And then it was always in the back of my mind, like, hey, I could do this. But then it was that nervous feeling because once you call yourself something, you feel like you got to live up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, although I'm taking more pictures and I'm more active with it, I still get nervous with saying, okay, photographer, because you always measure yourself up to the people that you look up to.
Yeah.
So when I look up the photographers that I aspire to shoot like, I always like, I can't even call myself that. But it's just a matter of just keep shooting, keep getting better, and looking past what's in front. I would say looking past what's in front, because the way you look at something might just be that. You might just look at it like, okay, that's a tree, that's just a scarf.
Mm-hmm.
But from a certain angle, from a certain position, with certain lighting, that could be a work of art that you could frame and go from there. So I feel like photography is always looking past the obvious to capture what you could really see.
I like that. I really like that you mentioned that, because that's such a huge part of just being a creative, right? We see things outside of the box. Most persons see things on that surface level, but just like photography, there's so much more to it when you look at the angles of it, different aspects, and you allow yourself to kind of be open to that
Yeah.
and just flow into that.
And that's it. Like you have to be open, not only visually but mentally, because you might be looking at something, it's like, what I could do with this. And then one step over, you could see something that could just be so beautiful.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite style of photography?
My favorite style right now is portrait photography. I feel like um, connecting with people through the camera. I just capturing or trying to capture their essence in certain places, certain angles, and things like that. That's really been my thing.
Okay, cool. So you know you're gonna have to leave your info for us at the end of this episode, right? Being a creative is a journey that comes with trust. Trust in yourself and trust in the process. Vulnerability and reshaping your world. How you see it. Similar to what we just talked about. Would you agree with this statement? And what has kept you grounded throughout this process?
What's kept me grounded is being playful. And when I say being playful, it's that you have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's always work behind art, and I know that certain people might look at art as like, you don't really do nothing. Like it shouldn't be that hard. Like, you're playing dress up. But no, staying playful keeps you entertained while you have to do the hard work.
Okay.
I always tell the story of when I had to be an old man, and it might seem like it was easy because all I have to do is like hunch your back and like dress up, but I had to change my entire being to being old. And what that means is that the way I walked during like certain parts of the play, the way I responded to, I couldn't just say my line old and then get back. I had to be an old person for the entirety of it. The way I walked on true scenes, the way I respond, the way I would sit there, even when I'm not responding or don't have any lines, I couldn't just be all upbeat. Like, you have to carry that. And if I didn't find that playful, or if I didn't keep the playful nature of it, it would be very toxic. Because now it's hard work to learn lines, memorization. It's hard work to learn blocking. You have to remember timing, pacing, things like that. It's hard work to be fluid in regards to improv, because with theater, not everything is planned. There might be
Very
things that go
true.
wrong that you have to improvise on the spot and things like that. So keeping all this technical and hard work aspect involved to still be able to change who you are That's very difficult. And then to do that is being playful. With photography, the hardest, like if you're shooting outside, it's a different setting. It's making sure that you have all your equipment. It's things that could go like that you have to still have a playful aspect where you can enjoy it and go from there. Even with directing, you have to balance between being a disciplinarian, whereas, hey, I need you all to be on time, I need you all to be off book, I need you all to remember these things.
Yeah.
But then still be able to be relatable and be playful, where you don't just kill a vibe where persons don't enjoy or they can't even be playful. So it's always a matter of balance, and I feel like keeping that playful nature, whereas you can enjoy the passion, so that the work doesn't kill it. Because although it might not be a traditional 9 to 5 work, it's still that playful nature and that passion that you still have to integrate with the work behind the scenes.
I like that you mentioned that, because I can definitely say that when you directed that production, you kept it lighthearted, right? Especially because this was my first time working with the Dundas and Short Tailed. So, I'm trying to adjust and trying to understand. I don't know any of these Dundas people for the most part, but you kept it in a way where people wanted to come back, and even kind of understanding the demand of acting. Because like you said, people feel like, okay, you're just on the stage, just remember a couple of lines and do a couple of stuff. Like it's so easy. It's so easy. And it's absolutely not. And you would know that from so many different aspects of what you do as a creative. But you were able to still keep us inspired and motivated and even enlightened, because you always learn something when you're acting.
Facts.
So you had mentioned 1 or 2 phrases that people in theater would know, but our audience may not know. So can you elaborate on blocking and improv?
Okay, so blocking would be placement, or exactly the location on stage, so where you're gonna stand, or where certain things are gonna be. Blocking is important because you don't have the benefit of cameras cutting or what's not, so that you could do trickery with the eyes. So blocking is important because it's on the spot projection. It's on the spot. Okay, everyone needs to be seen. This doesn't need to be shadowed or outcast from there, because it plays a part into it. And then everything needs to be a tool in a way. So you need to know how to work the stage. So blocking is important because it teaches, that's pre-production. Instead of movie pre-production, blocking is pre-production for stage. And then improv is when there is, it's unscripted basically. And improv is a skill that I would suggest that most actors use, because it gives you the wherewithal to know when to fill in and when to step or when to change things up. And in sports, they call that like an audible. So when you're ready, so when you see the play and now you need to do a different play, you call it audible and you change things up. I'll tell this story and then I'll wrap it up. There was one time in a production and everybody was just chilling out in the back room or the green room, and someone was there like, hey, I think that's your music. We said like, that can't be our music, so come on. But that was the music. So lights came up and nobody was on stage. So I had to run out and I started to play from the middle of the introduction.
Whoa.
And I just was there praying that my castmates catch on to what I was doing and then come in, because all of their parts were already going, and I just started just so it wasn't, ain't no starting over.
Right.
So I was there shouting out like, yes, Mabel will definitely, and hopefully they caught on. But it was that improv nature, and in me giving them the certain cues, they know that, okay, now I could come out for this spot and go from there, or now I could go for part. But improv is acting on the spot, unscripted, and keeping things flowing.
So did that actually work?
For that night, yes, it did. Okay. It worked for that night because after I was there, like, yes, my wife should definitely be coming anytime now. But I wish that it was there, like, okay, go from there. But so that worked out that night. I never want to do that again. But yeah, thank God for the improv group. Shout out to the spot. Yeah,
exactly. And the great thing is the audience usually has no idea. They're just like, wow, this is such an interesting take on the production. What's next?
Oh, yeah.
So, Jay, In your whole journey as a creative, and I know there's so much more to go, what would you say was a highlight moment for you?
Um, a highlight moment for me was, so I do poetry as well, and it's a high. I've done a lot of things that I could say I'm proud of, but that was the a highlight was winning special mention in the Central Bank um open call art competition, because coming from a traditional career in banking, I never really identified as a creative, because even art shows, I'd be the only person at art show with a tie on, with a shirt and a tie on, and then even that nervousness of auditioning, I done this is there like you're like I really don't belong with these creatives, but I feel like that was the high point, because although I could feel like, hey, I doing something, or I could like tell myself I doing something, it was that moment whereas okay, I was surrounded by artists that I respect in all mediums. So they had poetry, they had painting, they had music, and it was okay. This isn't just for specific creators, but this is all creatives. And for me to get honorable mention in that competition, that was a big part of that. That was like okay, I could create and bring things to life, and they mean something.
Awesome. That's really cool. So, of course, Mr. Photographer, give us your social media so we know how to connect with you.
Okay, so right now we could go at J Johnson FSF, and then we can go from there. That's what we could do. That's what we could do. So if you have any photography inquiries, if you want to shoot, or if you just have any questions or any tips of that, just go J Johnson FSF, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, Jay, I really appreciate you being here, talking about your doneness story, um, letting us know about certain terminologies, because our audience doesn't always know everything about acting, talking about photography, and really shining the light on what it means to be a creative, allowing yourself to be open to change, the vulnerability of it, and most importantly, having to be the character.
Yeah.
I think we've heard from a lot of Hollywood stars, like when they dedicate themselves to these rehearsals for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, like the impact it has on their mental health, on their body, and it's just to show that it's a real thing. I think people take acting like very lightly, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, and until you have to go through it, you wouldn't know. And then the bigger the or the further the role is from who you are as a person, the deeper that you have to dig into yourself. Like for that role of Uncle Ben, where I was the old man. After the show, I would still be limping, and at one point I was saying like, "Why walking like this? I could walk."
Yeah.
And like I would still be limping. And there was one show we had some senior citizens come in, and this old lady like grabbed me by my waist and was there like, "What's up?" And I was like, I think she think I old for true. Like I broke character real fast after that, but it's still like I think mom think I is old man for true. But it's still like you go that deep. Like I was literally walking, and I was still like, why walking like that? I can walk. I can walk. Like, why walking like this? But when you get in the character and you do that much shows, it just sticks sometimes.
And it's good that your mind actually caught on to that, because sometimes our body is just so used to like operating a certain way, and our mind gets used to it as well. You just find yourself just doing that after a while, and
Yeah.
someone else has to be like, hey, what you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Like I was looking down at my feet, like and just twitching. It's like, why doing this? I could stop. I could stop. Show over.
Right.
Show over. Let it go.
Now you're finished. You know what shows. Be done. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. Being a part of this opportunity. This has been amazing. I've enjoyed working with you, of course. So being able to do this has been awesome as well. And I appreciate your contribution to the show.
And I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming in, just open-minded, open the direction. Did a great job, and I appreciate you inviting me on your platform. It's a beautiful thing what you're doing here, just giving others a place to shine, and that's good. You don't ever lose light for lighting others, so that's a good thing.
Very true. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you so much. A very special thank you to our sponsor, Amber L, that encourages you to nourish your everyday skin glow. We also thank our audience for tuning in and listening to our very special guest, Jay, who has given us a lot to think about when it comes to being a photographer, photography, and being a creative. We also want to say tune in next week for another episode of Vibration, where we raise your frequency and amplify your truth. Bye, everyone.
That's it.